All right, so part 2 of our Michael Albert word up collage. So now we're going to be talking about the base and placement. So for the base, you want to use some kind of cardboard. You could actually just take apart one of your food boxes like I did. We tear it apart and you actually use the inside. So pizza box, I have white. Inside of a cereal box, I have gray. Triscuit box, a little darker gray. So you want something kind of heavy like cardboard for those letters to stick because they are cardboard. Now, you want to kind of also choose the base as far as size according to what your quote is. So if I choose this cereal box, right, I can hold it vertically or I can hold it horizontally. And when I look at my quote, right, create your own sunshine, I want to lay out my quote so that I'm taking up a lot of space. I don't want a lot of negative space. That's just more for me to fill later. And I also want to space it out so that it looks interesting on the page. So if I use the inside of that cereal box, you kind of get the idea here. I don't have it in the middle yet, but I'm getting there. So here's create your own sunshine. I'd want to make it a little even, so I'd move this over, right? And then obviously I'd have my 2020 somewhere near the bottom right hand corner because that's where artist signature goes. I have my K for Corson, and like I said before, I still have to find the J, but you get the point. You don't want to space out these letters. They will get lost once you start putting a background on. So it's better to kind of butt them up against each other, more like that, how you see here of what I did. Now this gives me a pretty good amount of negative space to work with. If I chose something like the pizza box, right, that's a huge square. That's going to take me a lot of time to fill up that negative space. If I want something smaller, like I found this cheese zit box, if I trim all of this off, right, I'm left with this size rectangle. This, with my quote, might not be enough negative space. You want to have some negative space to fill it in. It's going to be too tight. So you're going to kind of have to judge the size base or your format or background with what's going to work for you. Now, if you look at the base here, I cut this out with my scissors and it looks a little sloppy. You know, craftsmanship always should count. So you want to really trim that and make that straight. And if you have a ruler, great, you know, measure, make a straight line, and then cut on that line. If you don't have a ruler, you know, boxes that you already cut out have a straight edge on them, one side at least. So you could use your pencil and you could lay that down and you could actually create your own straight line with that straight edge. So I'm using my pencil, I'm drawing along that, and then I trim. So here it's straight, and then I take my time and I'd cut with my scissors on that straight line. So you get the point. You don't want this raggedy edge. So now that you've found a base, right, you've kind of laid it out, made sure it's good for you, trimmed off the edges, made it really neat. Now you have to start thinking about your background. What are you going to do back here? I had talked about possibly making a sun, and in the Michael Albert slideshow, he had a mosaic with flowers, and I think one of them had a sun too in it. So I started looking at boxes with yellows, right? So my Taco Bell or whatever this is, El Paso Tacos, this was the back of the Triscuit box. Look at Stop and Shop butter, lots of yellow. Swiffer, lots of yellow, right? So I can use this yellow to cut out a pretty cool sun. So I can take this, and if I want to make a circle for the sun, if you have a stencil at home, you know, like I do because I'm an art teacher, great, but you know, you can use a cup and trace that, anything that you want. So obviously, if I am going to trace something, I always want to trace it on the back so I don't see my pencil marks. I trace my cup or use my stencil, and then I'm going to use my scissors to cut out that circle. Again, bubble cut is best, because then I can really go back in and trim where it's a lot easier with extra paper, cardboard slash not in the way. And now I have the circle for my sun, and I can choose to put that wherever I want. Then I can start cutting apart, you know, these yellow boxes, the yellow in them, and I can start making rays for my sun, right? And I could have these start to come out. Now remember, it's a mosaic, right? So you gotta leave a little space in between each piece. And if you have tile in your own house at home, in between each tile is what's called grout. Sometimes it's gray, sometimes it's white, sometimes it's brown. Grout comes in all colors. So if you look at a picture of a mosaic, here I would be gluing these rays down that are not on top of each other. So I'd have more yellow here, and I'd keep going around with my sun. Now I would actually, let's say, glue this piece right here, glue it and trim it later after the glue dries, so I get a really neat look, but you get the point. Now once I get to a ray that's, say, by the R, I would, you know, use my pencil very lightly and cut on that line. Again, you don't really want your pencil lines to show. You always want to do things so that they look neat. And there would be how my yellow ray for the sun would fit into the R with still space in between there. So that's starting to put, let's say, a picture if I wanted, like making a sun. Some boxes already have, you know, pictures in them that you might want to use, like my tissue box before I showed you these flowers. So maybe I want to bubble cut around the flowers and work those in. Maybe I want to make a border of flowers. That would actually be pretty cool, because I talked about that a border is optional. So now that made me think. So different flowers, create a border in a repetition pattern. Love that idea. Then I said you could add in icons or other words that add. So I found some things that I really thought I definitely want to put in, like new and improved. I'm always trying to improve myself and improve my projects for you guys. Original, I think I'm pretty original. No one like me. Grown with care. Made simply, I love that one, especially because, you know, the environment was simple. Since we're at home, I'm definitely putting the best in here. I don't know if I'm going to choose the white one or the blue one. It all depends. I like my check mark, so when I'm done with the project, I can like check it off like I did it. So there's plenty of different other words that you could add in, and you saw Michael Albert did that. Once I kind of decide and cut these better and where I want to place them, then I still have to start filling up the background as if it's a mosaic. So, you know, think about color with that, contrast. What is going to contrast really well against these words so that they stand out? And look for different kinds of cool cardboard. Like, I love this Reynolds wrap for tinfoil, because if you look at the blue, it's got that cool metallic. So I will definitely be putting that in there. Blue is my favorite color, and I love the look of metallic to add contrast against the matte finish. Even my hot chocolate box here, it has a gradation already in the background, dark blue to medium blue to light blue. So I might decide to do a gradation somewhere here in my project. Here was the Swiffer box, again, dark green to medium green to light green. I could totally add that in. So many ideas, lots of things that you could add in. Have fun with it, be creative, make a positive statement, for all to enjoy in your home. I hope you have a lot of fun doing it. I know I love Michael Albert, love his work, love saving the environment. So have fun with that final project.